Episode 22 of the A.N.I.M.E podcast is brought to you by Crunchyroll. If you want to watch anime with ads, terrible video quality, and outrageous buffering time, use Crunchyroll.
This announcement was brought to you by Nya.
Yeah. All right, this is episode 22, as I said before, of A.N.I.M.E podcast. We took last week off for reasons, family reasons.
Yeet.
But we're...
That was not the correct emotion.
But we're back. And so as a result, we're going to be talking about episodes 10 and 11 of all of our winter shows, then a bunch of Mob Psycho stuff. Some of these shows have already finished. I have a feeling that both Sora, Yori, and Kokkoku have aired their final episodes, so we're a bit behind, but we've always been behind on those.
Yeah.
And then Violet Evergarden is going to run 14 episodes, so that's going to be spilling over into the spring season. You know, we're not quite on track with everything.
And Franxx is 2 core, so we're not even close.
Right. That would leave only one show that we're probably on track with. Whatever the last one is.
Don't know.
Oh, Ramens.
Yeah, that's right.
Why don't we just start with that one? I don't have anything else to say.
I was going to say I finished the first season of Boku no Hero Academia.
Yes, Grenchler is... Oh, I'm Whooper, by the way. This is Grenchler across from me. Say hello.
Hi.
He's obviously quite new to anime if he's just catching up with My Hero Academia Season 1. But he's doing his best. He's doing his best.
Or maybe I just don't watch a bunch of pleb shit.
Oh, well, I mean, you watched Boku no Hero, so
yeah, well,
obviously you do.
Eventually you have to watch it. I mean, you're watching Franxx, so...
That's because of you.
If the shoe fits.
Anyway, the new season 3 of Boku no Hero is going to be part of the spring season, starting in just a week or a couple weeks. So he's trying to catch up real quick. Have any thoughts? Anything you'd like to say about My Hero Academia?
Looks good. All Might is best character, is best boy.
Oh, God.
And it's fun. It's not, groundbreaking, but it's fun. And
okay.
That's cool.
It's cashing in on the superhero trend, but doing it in its own, shonen way.
Yep.
It's all right. I'm not really excited for season 3, but if you get through the second, on time, we'll consider doing the third season.
Yep.
For our spring coverage,
Gotta
starting
get
in just a couple
views.
weeks. No, we don't.
Gotta cover the popular shows.
Please don't listen to or watch this podcast.
Ever. So Ramens, episode 10 and 11.
Right, since we're covering 2 episodes of everything. This show is probably the hardest of all of them to remember. Like, in terms of thinking back a week in order to remember what happened, because it moves at such a quick pace.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have the strongest visual direction either, so it's really hard for the show to kind of glue things in the audience's memory.
With good shots, because everything is glowy and...
God ray-y.
Yep.
But we're going to do our best. I mean, the main... Episode 9 was the
flashback
backstory episode. Yeah, when we learned how exactly Lin acquired all of his elite assassin skills. Yeah. And we know that, over the course of his time, his 4 or 5 years in that little training camp, he was partnered up with Fei Lan, who he had to kill, or so he thought,
in order to secure his freedom.
Right, that was his final exam. But Fei Lan is still at large, and he is now in Hakata, which I guess is the name of the city where they live.
That's true.
So Fei Lan is on a quest for revenge. He's after Lin's head.
Except we learned in episode 11 that that's not true.
Well, it kind of is. They do at the end of episode 11. They come face to face for the first time in however many years, and I was actually very interested in the idea that Fei Lan presents, which is, oh, so you've become accustomed to this city, you like living here, and you like the people who you've met, the friends you've made. Well, then I'm going to destroy this city, and I'm going to kill all your friends. But that is revenge. He is out for revenge against Lin.
But the only reason he says that is because Lin refuses to because originally Fei Lan is like, let's partner up. We'll be the richest, most powerful assassins in the world, essentially.
Yeah, but of course Lin doesn't want to do that because
Lin's like,
Fei Lan already stabbed him in the back once before.
Right. And then in response to no, he said, well, he burned our crops, poisoned our water supply.
Yeah, but so are you kind of positing that you think Fei Lan's offer was genuine, like he really wanted to partner up with Lin and rule the world? Oh, I don't think so.
I do.
I think that would have been an extension of his revenge or like his torture, that he would have gotten back together with Lin and they would have been quote unquote buddies for a while. And I think Fei Lan probably would have killed him again, or attempted to, betrayed him again, stabbed him in the back again. Because in episode 11, you see him toss a couple of knives to two guys who were imprisoned by the Kokkoku organization for which he's now working. So he's clearly still obsessed with, that theme or that motif of people, friends having to turn on each other.
Yeah.
He's not over that. So I don't think his offer to Lin was genuine. I think that's what it makes him a watchable villain, is he has this burning hatred for one person in particular, and it takes on different forms. He doesn't want to just kill him. He doesn't want to just partner up with him. He is interested in like you said, burning this guy's life to the ground.
I think rather than it being just a hatred, I think it's an obsession.
Yeah.
It's
I agree.
The one person I couldn't kill. And it's like I'd either want to work for them
or with them.
Or I'd either want to work with them or have nothing at all.
Okay. So that's where we disagree, because I don't think his obsession with Lin would ever turn into partnership. I think he was just offering him that so that he could
Lin and Fei,
kind of demonstrate
buddies.
the spinoff.
Yep.
Two assassins and a girl. I guess that would be one assassin and a girl.
But Lin,
because he dresses as a girl.
Yeah.
There was in episode 11. There was a line where how the Avengers, the effeminate guy with the daughter and the tall black
super
guy,
buff dude.
Yeah. Remember when Lin says to him, and that's in the sequence where all of Lin's friends are like stopping him, tracking him down, stopping him on the street and being like, "Hey, here's a little gift for you, man. Don't leave. Stick around." When the black guy is talking to him, he says something. I don't know what. Something, he makes some innocuous normal comment, and Lin says, "I'm not gay like you." That just made me so disappointed.
What? You wanted him to be gay?
No, I didn't want him to be gay. I didn't want him to be straight. He's a fictional character, but let's say for a second we treat him like he's real. His sexuality is his business. I don't care what he does. But he is a crossdresser, and the show has been presenting that without comment. It's probably just a way for him. He likes living differently, or it's a tool that he uses because he's an assassin, to divert suspicion from himself. Like women are probably considered less threatening, less dangerous than men. So I liked the show was just leaving that alone. But we're getting near the end, and we just had to learn that he's not one of those icky homos.
Or maybe he is, but he's just really defensive about it.
Maybe. I don't think so, though. I think if anyone in the show, like the two Avenger guys, I suppose are gay. Maybe they're together. I don't know for sure. But if anyone on the show is gay who hasn't been, clearly outed, I guess
Banba.
It would be Banba. Yeah, I think he might be, or bisexual maybe. But that's
we'll find out in the last episode.
No, we probably won't. I think the show just slid it in there that Lin is not gay, even though he wears a dress. So all the
traps are gay.
So all the xenophobic, I said xenophobic, all the xenophobic, homophobic Japanese teenagers watching the show can let out the breath that they've been holding for 11 episodes.
Like, oh, thank God, I can like this character now.
Now I don't have to feel insecure while I watch this cartoon. So I'm griping a lot about that, but I liked these episodes. I liked 11 especially, I think. It was too busy, as most episodes of this show are, but I'm interested in Phelan's revenge plot, like, what shape it will take. How about you? How do you feel about Phelan in general?
I don't know. I think I think they did a really good job setting his character up in episode 9, because I really liked that episode. I liked the flashback.
I really didn't.
You didn't.
Yeah. But I like what's come out of it.
I love flashbacks and training montages and crap like that, because I'm the worst.
You're watching the right kind of TV for that stuff.
Hey. Or the first 2 minutes of every episode is a recap.
Yeah.
Except in this show.
Well, and in many others. But
anyways, but with his character, it seems, I felt like the first 4 episodes was, a pretty self-contained arc that moved at a normal pace.
What was the arc of the first 4 episodes?
The corrupt politician and his son.
Oh, the mayor.
Yeah, the mayor.
Yes. I can't remember exactly what. Was there a threat against any of the main characters, or was that just violence, like the mayor's son having his fun with these girls and then killing them? Oh, that's right. One of them was
Lynn's sister.
Lynn's sister. Yeah. So you thought that the first 4 episodes were their own little thing. How does that relate to?
I thought the
Phelan?
first 4 episodes were well paced, and the rest of them were. It's like they got to they read the first 2 chapters of the novel. They wrote 4 episodes. They realized there were 20 chapters left, and they slammed them all together. So
you've that feeling that you have of stuff being slammed together, that extends to what's going on now?
I think so.
Okay.
Because Phelan shows up briefly. He kills someone. We see some security camera footage. He kills some more people.
But that's this whole show, and has been from the beginning. This whole show, like, it's very silly, and there really aren't any stakes, because murder is just treated as a fact of life. 3% of the population of the city are assassins or hitmen or something. And even when the show depicts murder, like on screen, it has like, jazzy music playing in the background, and the heroes that we're supposed to be rooting for are like slitting people's throats with no remorse. And then afterwards, they all just get together and play baseball, you know? And Banba just lives with Lynn in that little apartment.
In his office?
Yeah. Wouldn't you think that someone would have discovered by now that he's like the Niwaka samurai? He doesn't have any kind of fortress or hideout. He's just living in some apartment office space, probably above
anime logic.
Yeah, well, I think it's particularly, I wouldn't say egregious in this show, but it's particularly noticeable that it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And like in episode 10, there's a scene where the submarine ninja, who factors heavily into episode 11, like the trade of assassins and stuff.
Right.
Not a lot of that made sense to me. But there's a scene where he's committing a murder, because he's been contracted to do so. Somebody walks in on him, and he throws a little, a shuriken at the guy, and he misses, because he's always missing with those. And the guy who's walked in is like a regular office worker with a briefcase and glasses and stuff.
He's like, "Hi, I'm here for the me."
Yeah.
Ting.
He's the guy who the submarine ninja had posed as in order to get in and commit the crime.
Right.
So he commits the murder. The guy walks in, he throws the shuriken at him, and he misses. So the office worker flees, and the submarine ninja says out loud, "Oh man, well, he seemed like a nice enough guy. I'll just let him go." There's just not a lot of logic or consistency to the assassinations and to like the jobs that everyone holds about being like super hackers or killers. It's all just for fun, And I think at this point I've accepted that, but I think it also holds the show back. It stops it from totally gelling. It's just, you just spend 20 minutes watching the fights and all that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't really see Phelan as like a real villain or anything like that.
Oh, I think he's probably the best villain in the show so far. Just that little, the exchange at the end, like he wants to totally destroy
his life and everything he cares about.
Yeah, not just Lin. He's not just interested in killing the guy and getting revenge as quickly as possible. He wants to make life hell.
Draw it out, make it worse.
I wonder how they'll do that with only 1 or 2 episodes left.
Well, they have 1 episode left.
Is that right?
It's 12. Okay. Yeah.
I guess we'll find out how it all. A lot of times when we get these 12 episode shows, there's an OVA, like a 13th episode, not necessarily a true conclusion or anything, but there will be a 13th episode. You know, they're often set at like a beach or something.
Right.
This show might be
a baseball episode.
Like Samurai Champloo. This show might be one where we actually do get a true ending in an OVA. But you know, a lot of OVAs that are included with DVD and Blu-ray sets are noticeably worse than the rest of the series. Like they don't look as good.
That's going to be difficult to match for this.
Yeah, you mean it's going to be difficult to go under the low bar?
Yes, that's what I meant.
Well, it's just kind of a goofy, fun show. It doesn't, given what it's aiming for, I don't think it needs to look good necessarily.
No, that's I still like the show.
Yeah, might be kind of silly to say that it doesn't need to look good because anime is a visual. It's half visual at least.
I think television is mostly visual.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd still be listening to radio broadcasts.
Yeah.
Remember radio? Or I'm sure you don't remember them, but radio dramas were like a huge thing in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah, actually, a lot of like long-running shonen series just remind me of that. They just keep the story going, no matter the cost. You just have to keep innovating and keep coming up with new characters and villains
Last week,
and plots.
Billy helped an old man out of a well.
Oh, that actually is exactly like shonen because you've been watching My Hero Academia. They always do the little recaps of the previous episode at the start of a new one. They are essentially just radio dramas.
I mean, that's one of the things I hate about rewatching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, because
do they do that?
There is so much recap and there's so much re-explaining. Like they explain what a philosopher's stone is probably 70 times in a 60 episode show.
That's annoying.
It is really annoying.
I guess that's why you have to watch 2003.
Brotherhood's still really good though. I feel like someone could go through and edit the show and make it better. Just like cut out all the stuff that doesn't need to be there. Like someone edited an entire season of Dragon Ball Z into like 9 minutes and it made sense.
Yeah.
Because there were whole episodes where people were just standing around with rocks floating because their budget ran out.
I think in the case of Dragon Ball, it's probably more like they didn't have much money to begin with.
Yeah, I know.
They just wanted to take the manga and put it on the TV screen.
Yeah, it was a joke, but still, it kind of held up.
Anyway, next show.
Move on to another show. Let's do something not food related. Evergarden.
Okay. Now we had two very unlike with Ramens, which we just talked about, where the episodes kind of bled into one another. In this show, the episodes are distinct from each other. Most of them are totally separate. So did you like episode 10 with the dying woman who wanted to write the letters to her daughter, or did you like episode 11 more with the army man who wanted to write the letter to his parents and to his girl?
I liked 10 more.
Same.
Yeah.
Why?
Maybe because it's a more relatable or believable story.
Well, you don't have kids, so why would it be more relatable?
I don't mean for me.
Okay, just in general?
Just in general, generally speaking, most people can't relate to, I'm dying on the front lines as my last wish. Will you take these letters to my beloved?
Well, apart from just that part being unbelievable in episode 11,
and the 14-year-old girl diving out of an airplane and taking out military people. And
we already know that's Violet's deal, is that she's some kind of super soldier.
She's the battle maiden.
Yeah, so she hears about this guy who wants to contract the services of an auto memory doll,
and Claudia's like, nope, not sending anyone there.
So a
civil war.
She takes the job, runs away at all costs. She's like begging people to take her to this guy. She finds him somehow, even though they're on the run from the enemy who's shooting at them.
Right.
She still finds him from up in the sky. They have to cross over a big mountain. She parachutes out and, does a little Matrix thing, dodges some bullets and punches some guys in the stomach so they can't breathe and incapacitates everybody. And as soon as she takes one guy hostage, one of the other dudes is like, "Oh yeah,
I recognize you.
We can't beat her. Stand down, everyone." And then there's a cabin that just happens to be there in the middle of the woods they stay at. And
I'm going to type with my hands in the middle of the air and remember everything.
I thought that was kind of cool.
I did too, actually.
Like maybe her hands have built-in, quote unquote muscle memory.
Or maybe she's autistic and she can just remember the motion.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe her disorder or whatever it is that she has, if she does, gives her that skill. She's like some kind of savant. But I feel as though if that were the case, they would have made a point of mentioning it earlier in the series. So I think it probably has more to do with the mechanical element of her arms, that she is able to remember their movements. That's probably why she was so technically gifted, so excellent in episode 3 when she's part of the program, like the class.
And she's like way faster at typing and everything else.
Yeah, but she's like a total spurg, so
yep.
She has to go through her own separate thing before she can pass the class. Yeah, I wasn't a big episode 11 guy.
Her own trial and tribulation.
It was it did get me. The episode did get me right at the end when after she delivers the letters, his mom, the soldier's mom, says, "Thank you for bringing him back to us." I was like,
where are these onions?
The room's getting dusty. That made me emotional, but all the scenes where she was like sitting next to him as he was dying, and none of that got to me. And I think the reason for that is we don't have any of the context for this war. This little civil war that his country is embroiled in, and the major war that Violet was a part of. We don't know why these kingdoms, these regions are fighting with each other.
I don't think it's ever explained.
Yeah, we just know that there is a war and that war is bad, guys.
War is bad, guys. Okay. These ultra nationalists want more war. These people don't.
Yeah, there's
talk about it in the comments below.
There's not a lot of nuance to the war, like to any of the conflicts between countries that we learn about. We just know that there's always some sort of problem, and there are political marriages that are going on, and people who aren't happy with peace.
And the doll saves the day every time.
I think it's because we don't have that context that
it's not as impactful.
This episode didn't do as much for me. Whereas with episode 10, that was, it's got a cute little kid, not voiced by a kid. That was clearly an adult. Did you get the same sense? Do you even remember?
That was the same to me.
Yeah, that covert racism.
Not very covert.
So the mom's plan was to use Violet to write letters that would be delivered to her daughter for 50 years after her death. But that came at the cost of her mom staying away from her for a whole week and keeping a secret from her, not telling her what she was doing. And that was torture for her little daughter.
Because the daughter knew that she didn't have much time left. Yeah.
She knew that her mom was sick, and her mom wouldn't tell her what was going on, why Violet was here. So I don't think I like what her mom did. I mean, she did write all those letters, and you get to see them being delivered as the woman's growing up, and then at the end she's married and has a kid.
Well, you can tie that in a little bit to episode 11, actually, when the mom says, "Thank you for bringing him back to us." Every time she'd get that letter, it would bring her mom back just for a little bit, and it could make up for that time that she'd lost.
Okay, that's a good point. I hadn't made that connection between these two episodes, but I don't know that that's a justification for putting your daughter through that. in the present while you're still alive and you still have time to actually be with her and like to hold her,
Well,
to be there
she had
physically.
6 months after that before she died.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You see the seasons change. Because we see the girl grow up.
Yeah, we do. But her mom isn't there for most of that. I don't know. Why couldn't she have just done that while the girl was asleep? Just worked with Violet while her daughter was asleep.
I don't know. Well, she's super sick. She was falling over, and she barely. It took all of her energy to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's true. I don't think I could do that. I wouldn't make that choice. I would just spend whatever time I have with my kid and be there with them as much as possible.
I think a parent would do what she did.
What the woman did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, but they don't. I mean, that's something that we can do. We have the technology. We don't even need auto memory dolls. Parents don't write like 50 letters to their kids, one for each year after they're dead, to be delivered to them.
Well, yeah, but a lot of them don't have the foresight to know I'm going to die while my child is 8.
Yeah, but even the ones who do, they don't do that stuff.
I know.
It's just something that I don't think I could do.
I can understand it. I can understand the reasoning behind it, even if it almost it's self-serving.
Well, that if you go down that road too far, then everything that anyone does is selfish, and then you just start talking about human nature, and there's no reason to go. In a show like Violet Evergarden, there's no reason to discuss that too heavily, because this show is more about like bringing people together and using Violet as a character who can express the wishes that other people can't. I really like the episode mostly because of the little kid. I love anything with. Well, I don't love anything with kids in it. It has to be good as well. The kid can't be too annoying, and they have to act like a child. Which Anne, that was the little girl's name, I think she mostly did. She was there was a scene where she explained to Violet, like, I don't really want to play with you. I don't really want you to do my hair. I want my mom to do all this. And I think that was a little too on the nose. Like, I don't know if a kid would be able to realize, everything, I'm just using this woman as a stand-in for my mother. That seems like the kind of thing that would be beyond a 6 or 7-year-old.
I think kids can realize that at that age.
But would they express it so clearly?
No. I think they can realize it, but I don't think they would express it. They didn't internalize it more than anything else. Yeah. Again, going into human nature here.
Everything else about her, I think, was good about the kid. Like, she thought Violet was a doll, and
like a literal doll.
Yeah.
Until she was like, your face is warm.
And the way that, remember when she barged in on one of their letter writing sessions, and to her mom, she said, like, whoever you're writing to, they don't care about you. It turned out that she was, writing to her daughter. But she says to her mom, like, I hate you. Why won't you spend time with me? And she makes her mom cry. So then she runs away, and Violet chases her. And the thing that she's most upset about is not actually what her mom is doing, but she feels guilty because she made her mom cry. And that's exactly how a kid would react in that situation. They would blame themselves, because that's
what we all do.
Yeah, and kids especially, like when their parents get divorced, they think that they think that they're the reason, because they're not really aware of what's going on outside their own head. So I liked how believable the kid was for the most part, and I liked that story more.
Well said.
Thank you very much. So we came to the same conclusion, I guess, about like which one we preferred more.
Yeah.
Episode 10 wins. Next.
Should we get one out of the way, or should we do one?
What, you mean like Kokkoku?
Yeah.
Let's get it out of the way. We can probably go over this stuff in like 5 minutes or something.
Okay, Kokkoku episode 10. We got a smackdown between the Herald and Sagawa, which ends in 5 minutes, and then there's a bunch of boring ass dialogue.
You're talking about the Sagawa backstory.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that it began 5 minutes into episode 10. I think that was his.
It was the commercial break or something.
Yeah, or even a little bit afterwards. I don't think it even took up half the episode, but it certainly felt like it did, because his story is just not interesting.
It's like, I was the son of a religious leader, and I had a friend,
and our parents had an affair, and as a result, I turned into the Hulk. I went into stasis as a Swole Green Man,
and I now want to observe humanity for all time.
Yeah, and
kill anyone who opposes me.
That's the thing. I don't understand. I mean, we kind of determined in the last episode of this podcast that the show wasn't being faithful to that idea of him wanting to observe humanity. But now we learn that there's really nothing in his character that would motivate him to do that. He's just, he's disillusioned by what happened with his father, because his father wasn't actually, some great pious man. He was
a normal person.
Yeah, and he was, he cheated on, his wife or whatever, like everybody else. So why would that cause someone to want to observe humanity for a long time?
Maybe
that would make you like apathetic and kind of distrust people and hate people.
I was about to say it would have challenged what his idea of morality was, because you think as when we grow up, and we generally think of our parents, or our parents are normally our moral center, because we don't have any other good examples to go from. So, him, as most children do, having their parents on a pedestal and then seeing that knock off would, knock some screws loose.
Yeah, but do you see what I'm saying about how that would cause him to be like, to kind of have a grudge against maybe, humanity, or at least be less trustful of people? It wouldn't make you want to preside over human history as some sort of god.
Deity.
Yeah. Those two things don't match up for me. So
yeah, I see that.
I don't care about his backstory and all of the other stuff about him, taking all these different forms in like episodes 10 and 11. And what is he in episode 10? He's some sort of, he's like the big Hulk guy, and he's kind of smirking at the main character's attempts to defeat him, and he's like, "Oh, I better give them a warm welcome," like he's gonna be threatening them. I forget what kind of form he takes on in episode 10.
At the end of it, or
no,
at the
like
beginning.
There's that conflict between. Oh, I just spit on the.
That's fine.
The windscreen, whatever it's called. They fight for a little bit or something, and then doesn't he go into some sort of cocoon? Not the cocoon in episode 11, but he. You know what I'm talking about? There's that conflict. Makoto is controlling the Herald.
At the end of the conflict, he goes and it looks like he just overgrows, and then like a super skinny version of himself just like sprints away, like a little elf.
So did he just like inflate himself or whatever, develop all that extra muscle or fat or skin, and he was in there for a while, right?
Not for very long.
Like you couldn't see his face, and that's when Makoto got the Herald to go over there and try to like stab at him, or something.
And then he
killed
the other Herald, or removed its excess, and then ran away.
Yeah, he runs away and really strangely and creepily into that house. That's when we get the backstory. So then in episode 11, he takes on yet another form. When the dad Takafumi comes in with a sword and like he stabs him.
Then it explains this is a prop sword. However, you can still stab people with it.
It's a complete waste of a character.
And
and then he like turns into dust, and then his brain is still there.
His brain,
with
his
eyeballs,
his brain, his eyes, his heart, and his lungs.
Yeah. So all that is still intact, and like
and
all the all the dust, because he kind of disintegrates. So all the dust turns into this tornado with his brain and his eyes at the top, like looking around, and then it it flies up and like out the window, and then he turns into some weird blue
cocoon,
like chrysalis thing, and
puts like ninja tripwires everywhere.
Yeah, it's just,
and then turns himself into a baby.
Yeah. Well, that's after Juri expels the Spectre, right? Or does she not get to do that?
No, she tries to expel.
She gets up on a ladder, and doesn't she do her little force palm thing?
Yeah, and then a child comes out.
Yeah. I don't understand that. Like, wouldn't it be him that she's expelling? So why?
Maybe it's not him anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. He's probably. We saw that the little threads that he was laying down. We got a shot of one of them attached to some kind of rat or some kind of rodent. So maybe he was absorbing specters, like the souls of living beings, and like taking energy from the grass.
Well, he was taking like their carbon or whatever. He's taking their base materials in order to form a new body, and the one he could form in such a short time was that of a child.
Yeah, that makes sense. He only had enough time to turn himself into like some kind of
baby.
Yeah.
And the cliffhanger is the baby's awake.
Is that at the very end?
Yeah. The grandfather holds it upside down and spanks it, and it
that's
coughs,
right.
and
it coughs up that fluid, that amber colored
embryonic fluid. Yeah.
And it has an umbilical cord and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so pure. Really. And right before that, right before that too, there was you know how every single show that has some conflict between good and evil, there's always like, oh, you know, you're really just like me, or oh, I'm actually just like him. The villain and the hero are actually the same. We got that in this too, because he had like a really unhappy childhood. And you could see that at the start of episode 11, after he finishes telling his story, that Juri has like tears in her eyes and she's moved for whatever reason. Oh my! I would just be like comatose.
I know what it's like to be downtrodden in my family.
Right? Yeah, to be unhappy in your family. That's why she kind of hesitates. But then, thankfully, she actually does go through with it, and you know. So I guess episode 12 will just be them going back. I don't think that there's going to be another big fight. Although Sagawa keeps, you know, changing forms and stuff, I don't think there's going to be any other transformations. I think that... are
we going to turn into a Family Guy situation where people can understand the baby?
Maybe.
Oh, so I've seen the pilot.
No, but they don't understand. Only Brian understands Stewie in Family Guy, right? His family doesn't understand him when he talks. It's only Brian.
It's explained in the pilot. I forget.
Okay. It doesn't matter anyway.
No.
That show wasn't made in Japan, so it's shit.
Obviously. That means, by that logic, The Wire is shit.
It's the one exception.
What about Atlanta?
It's the second and final exception. Next show. Sora Yori or Darling in the Franxx?
Let's save
Pick
Franxx.
your poison.
Let's save Franxx for last. So let's do Sora Yori Tooi Basho.
Translated as the nature of friendship in English.
Wait, really?
No, it means a place further than the universe.
Oh, I thought that like someone was going to do a dub of it or something, and they decided to retitle it The Nature of Friendship. I thought you pulled that from something real.
No, I pulled that from this show being about the nature of friendship for the last 2 weeks, and probably more than that.
It's been about the nature of friendship for the whole show.
Yeah, but I think
it's focused on it a lot harder in the second half.
Yeah. The first half was more about like, let's get to Antarctica.
And
now
the second half
that they're
is
there, there's less of a focus on, you know, the scientific part of the show, the actual expedition. There's less of that because they were supposed to be they were like social media correspondents,
right?
And we hardly get any of that.
Well, we've got some of it in 11.
What happens in 11?
The broadcast they do.
Yeah, they do a broadcast, but we only get like the very tail end of it, and then that's only an excuse to establish like a mode of connection or a mode of what's the word I want? Communication between Hinata and her old friends on the track team. So that's what happens in 11. It's Hinata's episode. She's mad at her friends.
Yep, and 10 was Yuzuki.
Yeah, Yuzuki's episode. She doesn't understand like.
I don't know what friendships are. Bleep bloop.
So we can start with episode 10. Yuzuki, the whole reason that her conflict, like her inner uncertainty about am I going to stay friends with these girls afterwards, after this Antarctica thing is over, is that she gets the news that she got a part on a drama.
Yeah.
So her life is obviously going to change a lot once she has to be on set all the time and has this big commitment. So she's like, oh no, am I going to still be friends with these 3 other girls?
Better drop a contract.
Yeah, she draws up a contract like we have to stay friends.
Well, And I think one of the reasons that she would have done that is because the only people that have stuck by her in her life are the ones that have contracts with her.
What, like her mom?
Like her mom or her agency or people she worked with.
Yeah.
Whereas, all the friends she's had have abandoned her for one reason or the other.
Right. Yeah. That goes back to when the character was first introduced and we saw, flashbacks to her talking to girls in her class who only wanted to get close to her because she was famous. She was an idol. But rather than getting this whole business about her like not being sure what friendship is or wanting to drop a contract, I would just like to see her get closer to see her become better friends. I would like to see something Antarctica related.
Show, don't tell.
Yeah, pretty much. I'd like to see something really bad happen, in Antarctica, like something goes wrong, some scientific tests that they're running, or like there are tensions between the girls as they're doing this social media correspondent thing. Like the tensions arise and then being friends, they get over them. Rather than the contract being drawn up or her just, like being sad and crying because she doesn't know whether they're going to be friends.
Self-discovery rather than explanation discovery.
Yeah.
Because she basically has friendship explained to her.
Yeah.
By Miku or
Mari.
Mari, thank you.
The main girl with the bangs that she cuts herself.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like a scene where she's or not just one scene, but over the course of the show, her continuing to be a bit of an outsider, and then like after the show in the final episode, maybe she would ask, so are we still going to be friends? Like once they've gotten back to Japan, and all the other girls are like, duh. Yeah. Like, obviously you're our friend. And for that to be like a revelation to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would even prefer that to what we got. I was not down with episode 10. And 11 wasn't much better for me. How'd you feel about Hinata and her like unresolved issues?
I mean, it resonates with a lot of people. I'm sure. Something that I'm sure this show is going over a lot of things that people have felt at some point. I'm a stranger to most of them, to be fair.
Maybe it's more relevant to like young Japanese girls.
I think Hinata's especially would be.
Why is that?
I mean, obviously, I can't say this with 100% knowledge, but I know that Japan's culture is very competitive. You
mean in school?
In school, in jobs, in pretty much everything.
I don't know, man. I mean, I think America might be more. There might be more competition between classmates and stuff. Well, I know in Japan they like rank students based on those national tests and things like that. That's really so. You might be right, but America is also more of like an individual culture. It's less about.
It's about me, not about us.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep. The self versus the group.
Yeah, I think America's more like that. But it's true that when I was in school, the teacher did not say who got the best. That wasn't posted up in the hallway for everyone to crowd around and obsess over who got the best grades or who's the best whatever.
Yeah. Who's student class president?
Well, that happens in America and Japan.
Yeah, but they don't actually have any power or weight here.
That I wouldn't know because I wasn't involved in student government. And I didn't even, I don't know the first thing about it.
The student government, all they did in high school for me was like, we have hat day.
Hey, there might have been more going on behind the scenes than you know.
A lot of those people, like your class president for your senior, are some of the people that are in charge of the reunions.
Okay. Yeah, and probably prom and homecoming, too. I know there are committees for those things, but the student council probably has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, they have. Well, I mean, I didn't go to any of those.
I didn't either. That's why we're doing this podcast.
Stick it to the man, Neosis.
So here's something I wanted to bring up about episode 11. You know how Shirase is she's the girl who lost her mom in Antarctica.
Right.
So she says to Hinata's old friends, and as she's saying this, you don't even see their faces. Like the show is so thoroughly writing them off that you don't even get to see. You don't hear their response. You don't get a glimpse of them.
Yeah.
Shirase just says, like, you were terrible to someone and you lost your chance. You don't get to try to feel better about it now by,
like,
approaching
we're here
her.
for you.
Yeah, or you don't even get to apologize, is what she's saying. But what about Mari's friend? Her name was like Megumi or something, with the big glasses, who was spreading those rumors about her because she didn't want her to leave. They're still friends.
They're different people, though.
I know they're different people, but we didn't even get a chance to learn what kind of people these track team girls are. We didn't get to hear from them. We didn't get their side. So on one hand, the show is saying, like, forgive and forget. Mari is a different person. She's very, I guess she's very forgiving. She's very warm-hearted. But that just there seems to be a bit of a muddled message there for me. I don't are you supposed to forgive people when they betray you like that and when they hurt you or not?
I don't think that's a show tone. I think it's trying to differentiate the different mindsets that the girls have. Like, I remember specifically at some point, Shirase sees Hinata just flipping out and throwing shit and like, fuck off.
Yeah, like punching the snow and kicking it and throwing stuff. Yeah, that bucket. Yeah, I was very surprised at how emotional she was, because she's usually like the most aloof and the most jokey and like doing her little chipmunk voice. And
yeah, and then she comes back inside and she's all like happy and smiley and nothing's bothering me. And Shirase says at some point, he's like, I don't know how you do that. I could never put on that face. She's like, we're different. He's like, we're just different people.
But Shirase does kind of do that, doesn't she? Because she has to deal with all the people mocking her in school, making fun of her and calling her like Little Miss Antarctica and stuff.
Right, but when something's bothering her, she can't make just like a smiley, happy face to her friends.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Because, well, she didn't have any friends before,
right.
So.
But they all do now. They were all in except for Kimari, the main girl. They were all in some kind of bad situation back home, and so now they've kind of escaped to Antarctica. And that's speaking about Mari, I still don't really understand why she wanted to get away. I mean, I know that she wanted to do something different, make some kind of mark elsewhere, because she felt like she was kind of stagnating in Japan. But the show never totally sold me on that. Well, I think that's coming around to hurt it as we approach the end.
Well, have you ever seen? I mean, did you have any friends in high school that when they? Well, I mean, I already knew that. But did you know anyone in high school that after they finished, they like went on a walkabout tour of Europe or, did something, like that?
Yeah, but if a TV show had been created about that person, I would hope that the show would demonstrate somehow why it is they wanted to leave the country or see something new or experience something foreign or different.
Well, I think the reasoning a lot of people do it is because I know it. I just don't know why I can't speak right now. The reason a lot of people do it is because they're like, well, I'm going to start college and then I'm going to get a job and then I'm going to do that job for 45 years and then I'm not going to have the energy to do anything fun anymore and then I'm going to die. So they're like, this is the only time I have to go explore the world and do something with my life, in air quotes.
Yeah, but not everyone does that.
No,
so there must be a motivation for the people who do. There must be something that sets them apart. And it doesn't have to be just one thing, but there must be something about them that compels them to do that.
They're adventurous.
I still don't understand what it is about Mari that makes her that way.
Maybe she's adventurous. I don't know. Even though she only eats the same kind of food every time.
Oh, the show is full of little details like that help to characterize all the main.
It's like Banba with his like one kind of ramen. She eats this like egg dish constantly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Takoyaki.
Think so.
Something like that.
I don't know.
Is it what they wanted to cook in the tent?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's what that's called.
She's like, you've had that every day now.
I'm ashamed that I don't know.
Not enough fine Japanese cuisine around here, except for sushi.
Yeah, the show's fine, and it does provide lots of those little details about the girls to make them a little more real. They'll have their own distinct personalities, but Antarctica has just taken such a back seat, despite the fact that they've arrived. I want the show I want to see a shift. I wanted it to be a little different once they got there, and it really is falling back on the same kind of, one of the girls has a problem and
I think now that we've gone through all of the girls, the last 2 episodes won't be about stuff like that.
Well, maybe they'll be about Mari. Maybe they'll bring it all the way back around.
I think they're going to be mostly about Shirase because we know that their expedition is going to go try to find. They're going to go to the last place where
her mom was seen.
Was seen.
Yeah,
it's possible she survived for 3 years.
Yeah,
I would hate if they did that, but it's possible.
Yeah, we'll see. I really doubt that she's alive, but
it'll write a book on the continent.
It'll just be some sort of closure, I think, for Shirase.
Yeah, because remember when they were going around to different landmarks, they kept mentioning, "Oh, Shirase, your mom was here."
Yeah, and she said that thing about chocolate cake.
Yeah, chocolate rain.
I thought that was a nice touch. That was like the first thing that popped into Shirase's head, and she says it over the comm system, and then what's the girl's name? Gin. The main expedition leader, that tall, really beautiful woman with the black hair.
So every woman in anime.
She says, "Oh, that's exactly what Takako said."
Yeah,
that's exactly what her mom said. I thought that was nice. Let's move on to Darling in the Franxx. We're running out of time. Darling in the Franxx, episode 10. Summarize it. You have 1 sentence.
Zorome gets left out from the group and discovers old people.
Right. Yeah, he gets to really talk to an adult, and he's obsessed with adults. The beach episode, he's like, the adults are perfect. Let's be like adults. I want to be an adult someday. I love adults.
Adulting, adultery,
right.
Adultation. Did you set it to adulto?
He loves adults, and so of course he's the one who gets separated from the pack when they go down into the city to get their medals. And he talks to an old woman, and we learn a little bit about how people live in the city, like within the plantation or whatever the terminology is, and it's weird.
Yeah,
the weirdest thing for me was. They live in pairs. They live as partners, and the woman explains that as being following some tradition, presumably the tradition that we in 2018 follow as human beings because we need to procreate.
Right.
People don't need to do that anymore, but they do live in pairs. And I wasn't clear on whether they take turns sleeping in that little pod that synthesizes emotions. Did you catch that? The guy whoever was in there, her partner.
Right.
Was like getting his daily dose of happiness, and he keeps flashing that weird grin.
Yeah.
And she's like frightened by that. So I don't know. I wish there had been a little more to go on. I wish the show had spoon-fed us a little bit more.
Well, it has 2 core, so they probably don't want to just here's everything. Now we can't tell you anything, and we're gonna have to do a bunch of filler episodes.
Yeah, I understand that.
Another mask.
I understand that, but I just wanted a little bit more. I understand that the show's trying to play it close to the vest and
trying to play the Ava game.
No, Ava. Well, maybe
Ava drip fed information.
Yeah, but it did it so much better than this.
I mean, yeah, it did, but that's
an objective fact.
It's not objective. Well, yeah. Wait, anyways.
No, you're right. It's not an objective fact. I just like that show a whole lot. The show it's keeping its secrets, because you get that one shot where he's asking the woman after the war against the Klaxosaurs is over and I become an adult, will you be my friend or will you be my family? Which is it that he asks her?
I think it's friend. I have it here. If they can be friends when he becomes an adult, and she says that's impossible because, and then a buzzer goes off.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to a wide shot of the whole room, and it does the black bars on top and bottom
thing.
But it only holds on that shot for like a second, and I felt like it would have been really cool if they'd just held that shot out a little longer.
Ava style.
Not to just straight rip out from it.
90 seconds.
Not for 90 seconds, but just hold on that a little longer to the impact.
With the buzzer going?
No, the buzzer just goes, and there's just like a little bit of room tone, like the sound of how rooms sound. and just to hold on the impact of what she had said to him.
But that wouldn't have been appropriate because we don't know what she said.
Right, but
So
the implication, I think, is that you'll never reach adulthood.
Yeah.
Is that you're going to die.
Yeah, something like that. And there wasn't even really a sign in episode 11 that his personality had changed or like his behavior as a result of this new knowledge. Was there?
I mean, he wasn't really paid attention to in episode 11. No.
Yeah, but wouldn't you expect that, something would be different about him? I didn't get that sense at all. I had pretty much forgotten what happened in episode 10 after the craziness of the sequential episode.
The only reason I remember what happened in episode 10 was because I opened episode 10 again, clicked around, and remembered, oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was a little strange.
Also, they were going to run a bunch of tests on 02, and she's like, nah, I hate those. So let's not do it. And they're just like, okay.
Do they run tests on all the kids?
No, just her. Whenever they go into the city, apparently they do tests on her because she's weird.
Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah. So she's obviously a significant enough figure. She's not like all these other kids who are kind of alluded to as being disposable.
All the other kids and their low code numbers.
Yeah. She's like a really important pilot, like a really important pistol, who's probably going to be around for a long time. And all the other kids are thought of as, being kind of trash, like they're
right.
just temporary soldiers. But then in episode 11, there's a conversation between the guy with the shaved head and the girl with the red hair, like they're handlers, I suppose.
Yeah.
And they say, I don't remember exactly what they said, but it was awful.
Like, they're improving faster than everyone else. Is it because of
because of puberty?
Is it because of puberty
and friendship and teamwork
and hormones? And they're like this. It's like, why would Dr. Franxx do that? It goes against everything we know. Maybe that's the point.
Yeah, this show is really deep, dude. That
got edges on its edges.
That was pretty lame. That the show, I don't know, that it just draws attention to all that stuff so clearly, and yet there's nothing really there to grab onto. Obviously the show is trying to tell us that it's because they're learning to work together as like boys and girls, men and women, and that they're discovering the nature of love, that they're becoming more powerful.
It's a love thing.
I don't think we dove into episode 10 like closely enough. What else did Zorame learn? He learned that the men and women live together.
Oh, there was also the hint that old woman may have been either his caretaker or his mother or like gene donor or something.
Right. Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that they would have taken her DNA or something to create him like from a test tube. Because at the start of the episode, there's his little narrated segment, because the show always has one of those, is him kind of remembering being born and like crying as it was happening. And you kind of see like liquid and bubbles floating up from it, implying that he's some sort of test tube baby or something. Maybe.
Which I assume they would all be at this point.
Yeah.
Emotions are optional.
Except maybe 02. Something's different about her, of course. She's half Klaxosaur or whatever.
Bestiality is alive and well.
Yeah. I mean, Hero's he's just doing his thing, man. Just let him live.
Just let it be what it do.
Yeah, the episode 10, it was a little strange. And the kids are all infected. We learned that in that episode. But yeah, the most recent one, that's the one with the like Futoshi or Fatoshi as he should be called, because he's always eating, and that's still hilarious. 11 episodes in. He, like pledges his undying love or partnership for Kokoro, and then of course she seems to be attracted to Mitsuru, and they have that little partner shuffle where everyone
do the truffle shuffle.
Everybody has do the partner shuffle. Everyone has the option to get a new partner, and Ikuno, of course. I mean, I'm pretty sure I brought up, I don't know, however many weeks ago, that she was probably gay.
She's probably
seems
lesbian.
Yeah, that seems confirmed. And she wanted to try partnering with Ichigo.
And it doesn't work.
It didn't work out. Yeah, and then Ichigo says, and this reminded me of what happened in Ramens too. Ichigo says, "Oh, thank God. I knew it wouldn't work with a woman." Not gay.
Being gay is bad.
At the very least, you can't pilot a giant humanoid robot if you're gay.
Nope. You need a penis and a vagina.
Right. You need a pistol and a stamen.
Part of a flower and another part of a flower.
So deep.
So dense.
Yeah. For a second, I actually thought that Mitsuru might be gay. And that he and Ikuno had kind of been thrown together because they were both the ones with like the lowest test scores because of their, because they weren't attracted to people of the opposite sex, so they didn't really fit in with the piloting style of the Franxx. And I also thought that it kind of made sense that he might like guys because he seemed to be obsessed in his flashbacks in episode 11 with Hiro.
And he has that surgery with a really low percentage survival rate in it.
Yeah.
And then that seems to like go away. Like they removed the gay in order to improve his compatibility with women.
I didn't think about that. The only thing that I thought was he really wanted to like be useful to Hiro and to partner a Franxx so he could like show him that he was useful. So he underwent that dangerous test just so he could become a better pilot.
Right.
I didn't think about it. Did you as you were watching, did you think, oh, Mitsuru might be gay as well?
No, I just thought of that right now when you mentioned it.
That's kind of interesting. I doubt that was really what the test is about. Although it wasn't
a test. It was like an operation, a procedure he had when he was 9.
What do they call it? I wrote it down.
I didn't write it down.
The elixir injection. That was a terrible Japanese accent. Elixir.
The elixir injection.
Yeah, I mean that even sounds.
Holy shit!
That even sounds kind of sounds a little gay. Elixir injection.
Yeah. Anyways,
moving on. He did seem to be really like fixated on Hiro, like obsessed with him as a kid.
Yeah.
But by the end, and it was probably just his partnership with Ikuno, the girl with the glasses, purple hair.
Yep.
It was probably just because of that I thought, yeah, well, maybe he's gay as well, but probably not. I'm probably just overthinking it. It's hard not to though, because the show is all about sexuality and stuff.
It's true.
And what's true?
I said what you said.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
The action in this episode was the first time that I've ever been impressed with it.
Really?
Yeah. I think the difference was that in the past, it's been static camera and the Franxx are moving, like the camera's in one place and the Franxx are
moving through the frame.
Like when what's the name of Hiro and Zero Two's Franxx?
Strelitzia.
Yeah, Strelitzia. It'll be the camera static with Strelitzia using like a spear to puncture one of the Klaxosaurs, or it'll be the opposite where the camera's moving, but the camera, there is no camera, but it'll be a
perspective.
It'll be a Franxx and it'll be a still model, and what's happening in the background is moving. So the implication being that the camera, it's like a tracking shot or something. But in this, I don't know a lot about the individual animators or staff that they bring on, freelancers, whatever it is they're doing to achieve the different looks in each episode. But in this one, I know they got somebody especially for this because the movement is so dynamic. It's like the Franxx are moving and the camera is also doing its own thing at the same time. Really ambitious looking combat, and extended as well. It happened like there's a long period of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of it.
So I was like really impressed. This is probably one of my favorite episodes of the show just off the back of how it looked. This is how this show needs to look
in order to pull off everything else.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, just in order for me to tolerate all the other like shitty stuff going on.
My theory, which there's no way that this holds any weight, is that Trigger did this, A1 did everything else.
Of course that isn't true.
I know.
It's a co-production, and who knows who has what responsibilities. And it's less about the studio as well and more about the people who are literally drawing it. Like, it's whenever you get a Trigger production, it's not the exact same people working on the show. It's the core group is there, but they're bringing in people from outside. And
Sure.
you know, we know all this because we watch Shirobako, so now we're
anime experts.
Well, not only that, we're practically Japanese.
Essentially.
Watashi wa Nihonjin. I don't know if that was right.
There's something I was talking to my roommate about the other day. It's a little bit of a non sequitur, but it was he browses through, you know, image sharing websites and stuff all the time. And there was one of some white dude walking through Japan holding a body pillow, and everyone there is just looking at him like he's the weirdest dude ever. And everyone over here thinks, oh, that's Japanese culture. I'm like, no, that's the part of Japanese culture that Japanese people repress.
Yeah, pretty much. All the body pillow stuff, all the otaku stuff, the anime stuff.
That's not mainstream there. That's not normal.
Well, with very few exceptions, it's not normal. You every once in a while you get some kind of cultural, like, generational breakthrough. Like Ava was
like the 100-foot statue of a Gundam that's somewhere in Japan.
Like Gundam was one. In the 70s you had stuff like Space Battleship Yamato.
Astro
that was
Boy.
Huge. Sure, Astro Boy if you go back far enough. Ashita no Joe, the big boxing manga turned to anime, I think in 1970. And Ava was one. It would be harder for me to name stuff from this century and this
Pokemon.
decade. Yeah, but that's more of like a media franchise.
Yeah, that's true. But it does have, you know, an anime.
It sure does.
Adaptation.
Okay, so here's my issue with this episode is that despite all the crazy, like, the confession from Fatoshi to Kokoro and her, like, kind of quote unquote betrayal going over and, you know, pairing up with Mitsuru and the other partner shakeups and the sync tests and the big fight, and despite all of that and how so many of the relationships between the kids change, mostly between, you know, the two pairs that got repaired.
That are focused on.
Despite all of that, the show kind of like goes. It is true that the partner switch is permanent now, or at least it seems that way. But the show like wraps up by saying Mitsuru has like a fever. And the episode closes with him saying, and when I woke up next morning, my fever was gone. Yeah, like the show just has a habit of starting with that little bit of narration and then kind of putting a bow on the end of the episode at the very end, wrapping it up like too cleanly and too neatly. And that's not what I want. And I would argue that that's damaging to the show. My prediction is that in the second half, it'll start, you know, somebody's going to die. And, you know, the stakes are going to start getting ramped up and the fights are going to start being like more brutal and all the secrets will be revealed. But even if they're reserving that for the second half, I don't think that the string music will
be able to save the day.
And then that really like sickly sweet ending theme with all the shots of the girls.
Yeah.
It's just, it doesn't fit what's going on in the other 21 minutes of every episode.
I mean, the ending music for Kokkoku and the entire end scene, the end credits stuff, has nothing to do with the rest of the show.
Yeah, but it perhaps because the ED for that show is so divorced from what's going on, I can just write it off completely. But it might be like the music that bleeds over during the ending narration into the ending theme that is causing me to feel this way about Franxx. Or maybe I just hold it to a higher standard at this point because I think, although I was really hot on Kokkoku at the start, I think that Franxx has kind of outlasted it. It's
somehow
as silly as it is, you know, it is more entertaining. You get more bang for your buck. Yeah, the main thing for me in this episode was that I was impressed with the fight choreography, just the look.
It was especially good this episode.
Yup.
I will give you that.
Oh, Goro's confession to Ichigo is another example of the show kind of just resetting. And Zorume learning some terrible truth about like why it's impossible for him to be friends with this woman. Yeah. He learned something and then just reset. Obviously it's carried over. And we even get a little line, I think, in episode 10 from Goro to Ichigo, like, don't worry about what I said. I hope it doesn't make it awkward between us.
Right. We can get anything like that in 11 for
Zorome's thing.
For Zorome.
And we probably won't in 12.
What is it?
What?
Oh, man. Zorome is... What is it? Zorome tells Fatoshi to lose weight.
Yes, he does. Yeah. Yes, he does. It's funny.
Got them
because he's fat.
It's funny because he's always eating. He climbs out of bed in the morning with a loaf of bread. Like,
yeah, you mentioned that.
Did he sleep with it or something?
Probably. Or he probably imagined that it was Kokoro.
Is that going to be the thumbnail?
This is his version of a body pillow.
It's bread.
It's a bread pillow.
It's a bready pillow.
Oh man, if he's hugging that like as a substitute for Kokoro, I don't want to eat that bread.
I don't know.
I don't know where it's been. Next,
we got
Mob Psycho 100. And we have 4 episodes of this, 7 through 10. 7, 8, 9, 10 to go through.
Yeah.
So we may get a little jumbled here.
Or a lot jumbled.
Let's go through it real fast.
Okay. You're the only one who has notes on 7 and 8 because I'm a scrub lord and I forgot.
Yeah, but it's really hard for me to be talking like this and also be looking over it at the notes. I'll just go based on my memory.
Okay.
My big impression of episode 7. This second half of the show. I mean, it's an OVA just came out for it. It's an hour long and it's based like Reagan is the main character. So it's up, if you know where to look, you can find it. It's subbed and everything. But putting that aside and putting the eventual second season aside, it is 12 episodes. So as of episode 7, we've entered the second half. And this is the half that feels like an X-Men movie to me. Because characters are like flying out of the woodwork left and right with a whole bunch of different powers, mysterious organizations that want to take over the world, the idea that people who have these psychic abilities are just better than everyone else. They're on another level of humanity. They're evolved.
Thanks, Magneto.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm saying, it feels more typically superhero-y and more
Western.
like an X-Men thing. Yeah, and the first half of the show was more about Mob and just how hard it is to like be in middle school and you have to deal with hormones and thinking about what you want to do for the rest of your life
and be a god at the same time.
Yeah, but I mean the show was dealing with all of Mob's issues, like his day-to-day life, the fact that his parents liked his brother more, he was bending spoons by accident. That was like kind of a representation of puberty.
He joined a club.
Yeah, like what club he wants to join, just everyday stuff like that, combining that really, really seamlessly with his psychic abilities.
And now his duties to Reagan.
Yeah, his after-school
job.
Gig. Yeah.
300 yen an hour.
And now that's like $3 an hour. Yeah.
That's nothing.
But he doesn't actually have a job, I don't think. He regards Reagan as his shisho, like his master, his teacher. Right. So he's not technically employed. But anyway, now in the second half of the show, it's just like, fights. And
I'm okay with that.
Well, I mean, they look great. So.
Yep. Thanks,
and Mob is still the same character underneath everything, even though there's like way more punching and blood, violence, all of that. The show has to establish a giant pecking order for all the new characters that it's throwing at us. Mob is still like, he doesn't want to fight. In episode, skipping all the way to the end, I guess, in episode 10, when he fights that female Qigong user.
It's like, I'm not supposed to hit a woman.
Yeah. And I like her response to that. She says, like, that's really gentlemanly of you, but that's insulting. So bring it.
And she's through a wall in the next frame.
Yeah, because Mob is God.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's what's going on in the second half of the show. It's becoming more of a superhero thing. In episode 7 is still more about Ritsu because he's just discovering his psychic powers. And he levels up so fast. I had a real problem with the way that episode 7...
He goes from like in episode 6, accidentally bending spoons, to throwing 80 people around like it's nothing.
Yeah. And part of that is because Dimple possesses him at one point or another.
And is able to access his abilities and control them.
Yeah. And even after Dimple leaves his body, Ritsu like retains some memory of that, how to access that part of himself. So he does, he becomes more powerful very quickly. But the issue with episode 7 is that not only is this happening with Ritsu, like he's learning to control his psychic powers and he's going to the, what's it called? That telekinesis
School.
association. Yeah. I mean, he was doing that earlier, but it's not just that that's going on. It's also that little bit with Mob breaking the vase. Do you remember that little side story? The woman tricks him into breaking the vase, or she pushes him into it or something.
Yeah.
And then they're going to try to extort him for money, like blackmail him.
Yeah.
And Reagan shows up and bails him out. That felt very out of place in that episode for me because it was mostly a Ritsu thing. And I would have been content for the whole episode to be about Ritsu. And then they also threw in that stuff about the student council framing the delinquents for stuff. They had to kind of wrap that up.
Yeah.
That was a real misfire, I feel, that entire plot. Because
do you think it's just the way it was presented, or do you think that's the way it was adapted was poor, or do you think it was the source material that, I mean, obviously we can't know because
I haven't read the manga.
Neither of us have read it. So.
Right. So I can't really say.
Yeah. I suppose I answered my own question with the fact that I have no idea.
Yeah. The episode was too jam-packed, though. It was too crowded. I actually wrote down in my notes that it felt like an episode of Tonkotsu Ramens because it was just stuff was happening so fast. I was struggling to keep up. And I've already seen the show too.
Yeah, so, I haven't. It was.
So I wrote down like what is the point of the student council plot, and it's it kind of ties into the guy who wrote the manga, his idea that all people have some sort of big flaw.
People are shit.
Yeah, the student council president, like he's abusing his power. Is that whole plot just a comment on that, or is it just a way to kick Ritsu's character to a darker place, like just move him to a spot in the story where his sudden like badassery can be explained? I don't really find either of those explanations to be very
satisfying.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
But then, yeah, Claw gets introduced, and that's where we are now.
Yep.
It's all about Claw. So I actually counted in episode 8 of the, if you take away the OP and the ED, there's 21 minutes. 14 of those minutes are spent in that alleyway where all the delinquents are all from the other schools who are trying to get to Mob because Mob's the one who beat Teruhashi.
Right.
They want Mob, so they're all there in that alleyway, and then what's his face with all the piercings and the little bush on top of his head.
Yeah, he
shows up and they fight for a long time. So 14 out of 21 minutes were spent in that alleyway. That's 2/3 of the episode, and it was just fighting for 2/3 of the episode, and discussions that happened mid-fight, pre-fight, and post-fight.
Right.
It's mostly fighting.
So 5 episodes of Naruto wrapped up into 14 minutes.
Yeah, and it's kind of a count your blessings thing. Like, be thankful that the show looks so good. Be thankful that the action is so dynamic and so cool. But at the same time, I mean, like I was alluding to earlier, what I really prefer is the stuff that's...
You like the first half of the show, not the second half.
I like the second half. I like the show, but I like the first half more.
You seem to be less keen on action-heavy stuff.
Well, that's because it's the simplest thing in the world for an action show to get carried away and become all about the action. Like, instead of the action being the means to an end, it's just the beginning, middle, and end.
Unless you create a show
just gonna
entirely for that purpose.
I'm going to punch you, and I'm going to punch that guy over there. And now I'm punching in a different way. Like, it's a different special move. And then I wrap that little red and purple coil around my arm. Now when I punch, it does more damage, so I can break through your barrier. It kind of reminds me of like playground fights where kids are like,
I have a force field.
Yes, that's pretty much what it reminds me of.
Well, I have anti-spiral magic armor.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like those. I mean, these just ridiculous over-the-top scenes of action because they all look...
Characters flying up into the sun and punching each other back down to earth and stuff. And there's a constant theme of people getting hit into walls and the wall, like, that little
imploding.
crater forming.
Yeah.
That happens once every 5 minutes in this show now.
I'm not sure where that started.
I mean, Dragon Ball Z is a decent guess, but before that,
Actually,
before that you had stuff like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Fist of the North Star. Well, no, not Fist of the North Star. Hotoku no Ken. There were manga before Dragon Ball Z that were similar, and maybe it came from that, or maybe they borrowed it from earlier Japanese works, or from another culture. It's really hard to know for sure. But Dragon Ball Z is Dragon Ball is where my mind went first.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that I don't know anything about Dragon Ball. I never got into it. It's just a guess.
Yeah.
What is there to say about the big fight between Mob and what's his face?
Looks cool. And Mob didn't blow him away right at the start like he could have.
Right.
Because he didn't want to hurt him.
Yeah. Although he does, I mean, I guess we can kind of fast forward to the later episode.
In episode 9, he shows up again. He's like, I'll take you down this time. And Mob just destroys him.
Yeah, by shooting him into the wall a million times and creating all those craters, then throwing him up into the ceiling.
And he's just stuck and his legs are dangling there. Right. He's either dead or very close.
Yeah, so there are 11 like really high-ranking members. Yeah, scars is what they're called. 11 scars. They're the high-ranking members of the shadow organization Claw.
The 7th division of Claw. Not all of it, just one part.
Oh, you're right. Okay, yeah, that makes way more sense. I wonder how many divisions there are.
Who knows?
Yeah, I guess that'll be something that we learn in the last 2 episodes or in the second season.
Or the OVA.
Oh, the OVA is all about Reagan, so it's probably going to be kind of a side story, like Omake thing.
But, and we can mention this because it happened at the end of episode 10, Reagan shows up as the leader of Claw.
Yeah.
So,
or is he?
I have no idea. It could be his greatest flub yet, or his greatest scam yet.
Right. Yeah, because he's a big con artist. So he could be just like barging into Claw, posing as their leader, and when you see him walking in, you see all like the scrub.
All scrub psychics are being like, I can't feel anything psychic, but this guy gives me the creeps.
Right.
Like he's ultra evil.
Yeah. So maybe he's conned all of them into believing that he's the leader who they've never seen. And if that's the case, I guess he's coming into the building to rescue Mob.
Mob is his source of income.
Yeah. Or Mob is like his backup plan. He has other sources of income. Because he can do like massages and stuff. That happened in episode 8. He gives somebody a massage under the pretense of like ridding them of evil spirits. And of course, the person's totally rejuvenated afterwards because he's a masseuse more than he is anything else.
Yeah.
And a Photoshop expert and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Claw. That's where we are now. And of course, you get the scenes. It's a shadow organization, so they've got a little boardroom. They all sit around that table, and they're all arguing about like who's the strongest, and you're gonna get kicked out if you don't beat this guy this time, and all that.
One thing I know they had more time with Academia, but every time they would introduce a new character after they would fight, the screen would freeze on them and then explain their powers.
That happens. Yeah, that happens in Mob.
In this one, they go around the boardroom table and it freezes on all of them.
Right.
But that's all the information you get is like their name.
Well, you get to see very clearly what their powers are. You do in other action fighting shonen type anime.
Yeah,
but
but literally in Academia, a voiceover comes on and explains what
it's
they
that
do.
guy with the little mustache and his power is that he can talk really loud, right?
Oh yeah, it's the vice principal or something of Hero Academy.
Right. Hero Academy. You just
not to be confused with the Homeowners Association. HA.
Yeah, I get you. Not really. You've totally lost me, dude.
I don't know.
We're talking about Claw.
Yeah.
And Reagan is apparently the boss, and there are a whole bunch of there's a big pecking order. Even though some of the fights were really cool. Well, what was your favorite? What was your favorite fight?
Tall hair.
Teruhashi
versus the pyro dude.
Same. I'm really glad you said that because that's my favorite too. There was one particular shot as when they were fighting, when Teruhashi has up his little bubble, his barrier, and there are flames everywhere, engulfing like the entire hallway. You can't see anything except the silhouettes of the characters and fire. That was like so. The way it was lit, with both the fronts of the characters exposed to the fire being super bright, like obscuring their features, and everything else being dark, because the way the shadows are cast. That just looked so cool. It didn't look like traditional animation. I don't think they used any different technique or anything, but
It's just this different style.
yeah, it looked great.
My favorite part was right at the start when the pyro first shows up and is like, I'm a real pyrokinetic, not the other guy who had like a flame on his finger.
Right. You're talking about the guy that Ritsu's with. All the people.
No. All the lackeys.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. That are just like barely. Like I can light matches with my thumb.
Yeah, and those guys are all They're not naturals.
Yeah.
I forget what the word is for them, but naturals are people who
manufactured or created or something.
Psychic powers naturally, and then we have these other guys.
But
who
you see
artificial.
you see the flame just like roll down the hallway, and it looks so cool.
Yeah, it really does. That was my favorite fight as well.
Most
of them are really cool. I mean, some of them are over in like 2 seconds, or they even happen off screen because Mob is so godlike.
Right.
But their others are
taking
great.
out 2 more people.
The Dimple one is really interesting because he possesses one of the security guards, and then he fights against someone who specializes in like controlling evil spirits, who wants to add Dimple to his collection. And he has that belt with all the different like containers,
all
the
the
canisters
spirits on it. Yeah,
that was kind of cool. What were you going to say? Do you remember? It was after we were talking about the pyrokinesis guy.
Yeah, I said Mob fought 2 people off screen. He took out 2 more people. That's all I said.
Okay. No, you said I also, and then I cut you off.
Oh, I don't remember.
Were you going to name another fight that you really liked?
No, because those were basically it.
Yeah, the big ones were the Teru versus the pyrokinetic high-ranking guy, Dimple versus Spirit Man, and Mob against the Qigong, the woman.
Right.
And there was that little girl, too, who had the wooden puppets.
And they all just got blown up.
Yeah. But maybe my favorite moment in these later episodes, these Claw episodes, is when all the characters, all the grunts are sitting around in the break room playing cards, and then Ritsu
comes in to take the other brother, and the old man's like, "Don't."
Yeah, don't go after them.
Don't go after them.
Just you could never hope to
stop them.
Yeah. And that's a big thing in anime is like hard work versus talent. Do you need to be naturally gifted, or can you? It's probably not just anime, but it does pop up a lot in Japanese.
It shows up in One's other works as well.
Yeah. Well,
One Punch.
It's a very
hard work.
Right.
Beats talent.
It does?
Yeah, because he does like these simplistic workouts all the time and is stronger than everyone else regardless of their crazy abilities.
Right, that's true.
He like blows up a spaceship with a punch.
Yep.
And it's not even a strong punch.
We're getting a sequel to One Punch Man and a sequel to Mob Psycho.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I'm excited.
More money for the guy who writes them.
Yeah.
I feel as though Mob Psycho has ended. I don't keep up with that manga, but I'm pretty sure it's over. But I mean, I like the guy's work, so it's good that he's, the fat paychecks keep rolling in. Good for him.
Assuming he gets paid well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He at this point with second seasons for both of them coming up,
and Shonen Jump adapting his works. Or by that I mean redrawing.
Just One Punch Man. Yeah, they have Murata doing it. Does it run in Jump? In Shonen Jump?
Didn't you say it was?
Maybe I did and I was wrong. It probably does.
I don't know.
Neither do I. Just displaying my ignorance here, but I've only seen the anime for both. So we'll see what the deal is with Reagan, going forward. And we could even watch the OVA.
Yeah, I was actually going to suggest that we watch that for next week once we finish the show.
Well, our next episode will actually be in 2 weeks. We won't be here next week.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. That might
Sorry
be
for all of you who were so keen on
hanging on our every word.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Let's rank the shows.
Okay.
Mine are going to be a lot different than normal.
Oh, really? I'm excited.
Okay. So what do you have in last place?
Kokkoku.
Yeah, me too. In 5th out of the 5 winter shows, Kokkoku. It's just awful.
Just the worst.
Yeah. It's not even it for me, because it started out with such promise, and I'm sure not everyone feels that way, but I appreciated how different it was at the start. And so for me, it hasn't even reached like so bad it's good territory. Even though everything, like, it's laughable. The little brain tornado scene, it was just the silliest thing I've seen in a while. But it's still, I can't come full circle and be like, oh, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm just sad. All right, 4th.
Evergarden.
Wow. All right. I put Sora Yori 4th.
Okay.
Okay. Why Evergarden 4th?
Maybe it was the lack of episode 11.
You didn't like episode 11?
Because I did them both together.
Right. Right.
And
yeah, we have
11 was. I don't know.
It was.
I felt like part of that episode existed just to kind of say war is bad, and the other part of the episode existed. Let's have Violet do something cool again.
You think so?
Yeah. They want an excuse for her to jump out of an airplane and beat some people up and be a badass.
I don't agree
and then
with
go
that.
right and then be able to show she has this fighting side, but also this caring lovingness to her that's just so romantic.
Okay. There was no romance between the two of them.
I know.
I don't agree that the show was trying to, demonstrate that she was some super soldier, like, fighting chick. I think that
that's just supposed to be a fact at this point.
as a matter of fact, I think that it probably hurt her to have to do all that. I think she was probably upset by it, and that she viewed like getting in touch with this soldier guy as a duty, as something that she had to do, despite the fact that she might have to get a little, get her hands dirty in the process. But you'd be forgiven for not like having that interpretation, because the show doesn't present that.
Right. Or offer any other explanation.
Yeah, a lot of time is spent like, with the war is bad message.
Yep.
And as we talked about before, there's not a lot of context to these conflicts between countries. So yeah, I can see why you wouldn't like episode 11, but putting it 4th, I put Sora Yori because I just don't like, how
I know you're
going.
not super hot on it.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
All right, how about 3rd?
Sora Yori.
Okay. This is interesting because, just go back, like flashback 1 month, and we're both like really hot on that show.
Yeah.
Not as much after these 2 episodes, I guess. I put Ramens 3rd.
Okay.
Which is a step up from where I usually put it, I think, because I really am interested in Phelan. Franxx 2nd for me.
Ramens 2nd.
All right. So you have Franxx 1st.
I do.
I put Evergarden 1st.
Yeah.
Mostly because I really liked episode 10. Out of all these 10 episodes, like, the 5 winter shows, we saw 2 of each. Out of all these 10 episodes, I liked episode 10 of Evergarden the most.
You do love the kids.
Yeah. I like when kids are portrayed realistically.
Rather than portrayed as...
Well, portrayed as like really, really annoying and inconveniences. I hate that. And then I also hate when they're made out to be like just miniature adults. That's also like, it's stupid. It's boring. So I prefer it when they have to go through something tough and they can't totally deal with it. But they try their best and they learn something as a result of, cooperating with an adult or, I like that episode.
Yeah. Okay.
So I put that first. Yeah, but Franxx 2nd, I mean, a lot of that is off the back of the animation in episode 11. Like that show is such a hype beast. Everybody's like on the Darling in the Franxx train. And I didn't, until this episode, I didn't really think that it deserved that kind of following.
Yeah, you've always kind of been like that.
But now it looked pretty good, man.
Yeah, I still maintain that I like that show.
Well, we'll see. So our next episode is going to be in 2 weeks. It'll probably be a wrap up of the
winter season.
And then the week after that. So 3 weeks from now, we'll be midway through April, but we probably won't be able to do our little spring first impressions until all the shows we want to watch come out. So that's what's coming up on the channel. Subscribe for more. Don't forget to share with your friends.
Hit that bell icon to get some notifications.
Yeah, because YouTube won't put our hit the bell button.
That was actually like a real problem for people, right?
Yeah, but real problem to who?
To people who make their livelihood from
Fuck
YouTube.
Them. You got anything else to say, man, before we get out of here?
Do you have anything useful to say ever? The answer is no.
Probably not. But if anyone's listening to this, we're glad that you're taking the time out of your busy day
to learn some anime.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Bye-bye.